BMA Podcast. Today I got the homie Dez with me. Dez got a compelling story about, the criminal justice system. So we're gonna hear from him, get his take from that, what his experience was, the things that he went through. But more importantly, after he came home, he's out here in the community, doing work and really trying to share his lived experience with the youth so that they don't make the same mistakes that we have. And without further ado, Dez, what's up, man? Thanks for coming through.
I appreciate you, Mason. I really do, brother.
Yeah. Since I've been home, I've been functioning with him and the gentlemen from Day One, Utah. And they're really doing it out here. They're really out there in the community talking to these kids. They're out there putting things together to help the homeless. Our goal, what motivates us is, hoping that we can find a way to help people achieve a better life despite their mistakes. So, without further ado, man, this is the homie Dez. Share a little bit of yourself with the people. Let them know who you are.
My name is Dez with Day One. So I was, I was born in Compton, raised in Long Beach, California. And growing up out there, living through the 80s and the 90s and all that before I ended up coming to Utah and catching my case at a very young age. And, going through the prison system up out here. And then, of course, catching my Fed case and then end up out in different states. Anybody that done Fed time know that you get bounced around depending on what you get caught up in. But again, just growing up in Long Beach, in that environment, just that setting seemed so natural because when you just brought up into that, man, you don't see nothing wrong. You see what's going on, but that's just part of your daily life. Just how everything's running. It's already, gangs is already formed, and all the illegal activities is going on. That to us, we didn't see anything wrong with it because it was part of. It's like the color of your skin, man. It's just like it is what it is, and we just never looked at us being poor because our neighbors was poor. Everything was just the same. So we knew we didn't have money, and but we didn't frown on that, man. This is, we did what we had to do to survive out there. But my journey here to Utah, I was on a run. So I caught a case in California, very young age. I caught a case at 10, and it was I shouldn't even say that. I was wrongly convicted of a crime that I had nothing to do with at the age of 10 because if anybody know, back in those days, in the early 80s, khakis and white t-shirts was pretty much the cheapest thing you can buy, and I just so happened to be wearing the same color khakis and a white t-shirt as this other individual that committed the crime, which I couldn't even tell you who it was, because I didn't even know what was going on. I got hemmed up for that and ended up doing my time for that and was released. But when I was released, I was already on that mindset on doing crime sprees, man, just putting in work because, when you're in at that age, 10 is very young, but 10 to, years old at that time is really like the 15s in other states, man, because we already conditioned to the way streets is ran, and so we're taught at a very young age, how the code of conduct and all that, and who's an enemy, who's not, who's from the neighborhood, who's not. You learn to recognize certain vehicles that come in and out, and and of course the whistling, the signaling, and all that shit. You learn all that shit at the young age. But anyways, so by the time I get out, man, I'm already conditioned to be like that, man. I get back, I'm with the homies now. I'm the youngest homie that did time out of the group of friends I was going to school with. So of course, I had a little credibility as far as being locked up, but not so much street credibility because I was just a 10-year-old on skateboards, a stolen skateboard, Wasn't really into that life until you know, I got hemmed up. But you know, of course, I come out now. I'm affiliated. You know what I mean? And you know, but anyways, I end up on the run because not too long after that, I was on the run, and I ended up going back. I should say I ended up going back on a robbery case, and did some time for that, and this was just camp time, man. You know, when Challenger, if anybody remember the spaceship, the Challenger that blew up, they opened up this big old camp, and they named all these camps based on the people that died from that shuttle that blew up. But yeah, so shortly after that, like I said, I was on the run, man. I was probably out a week, and I had a homie that was coming through the state. He had family out here in Utah. I never even heard of Utah. You know, and now, you know, because when you growing up, man, we kind of had like this imaginary boundaries that we know we can't cross. You know what I mean? Because you know us in Compton at that time, we was beefing so hard back then. You know, and I grew up in the north side of Long Beach, so you know I could look over down Long Beach Boulevard and Greenleaf, and then you know it's just like right there. You know, but you know I was just on that mindset. But when I come to Utah, and again I just wanted to get out because I just got out, and I just wanted to get out the state. So you know. We took off and ended up coming here. I picked up a case out here in Utah at 15 years old, and just not understanding, you know, and I was my mindset was very, I just wasn't familiar with a lot of the, well, for one, Utah was different as far as how the system worked, you know what I mean? So the things that I've done out here in Utah, I probably would have went back and, you know, to a camp or a YA or something like that. But anyways, I got certified at 15 years old, you know, and when I was certified at 15, now mind you, I didn't have any family members out here like I do back home. So I went through that process all by myself, you know, and I didn't even know what being certified was, you know. I just knew that it meant like I was in some big trouble, you know what I mean? Yeah. And because I'm just assuming that Utah's system was ran like California, I thought I was gonna, all right, that mean that I'm gonna go to YA, you know what I mean, big boy camp, you know what I mean? And but yeah, they had so the big boy camp out here was the adult prison. So you know, I ended up going up to the state joint up here in Utah, and
so you were in the adult prison down in Draper at 15?
Right.
Wow.
Right. You know, so going through the county, when they booked me to the county, you know, I went down to Davis County. Now I understood what it really was, and you know, reality hit, man. It's like, all right, you know, it's time to lace up, and you know, it's for real now, you know. So when I get to the state joint, you know, I go through R&O. It's a processing system they have there. You know, I go through R&O, and then you know, I get out to population, and yeah, man, it was real then at that time, because I remember coming down when I was coming through R&O, and they start breaking you out to what facility you was gonna go to, and there was this long fence. It was just this long barbed wire fence. We were coming down, and the convicts that was already there, they already had jumped on the fence, because it's now we the fishes that's coming in, and I was towards the back. I want to say it was probably like 20 individuals in front of me, you know, and I can't remember. It's been so long ago, but it was quite a few, and I just remember me being towards the back, and man, I just started hearing them guys. I was like, yeah, that one's mine right there. That one's mine, you know. And people was just like on the fence, just like picking people out. That one's mine.
When they say that one's mine, they're talking about that's what they're gonna be making their girl.
Yeah.
Oh, he looks cute. He's got long hair. So, I like the way his eyes look.
And exactly. So because of my, you know, experience in the juvenile system, before I came out of the R&O, they give you this little pencil. It's maybe like an inch and a half long or whatever, but you know, to write your little letter, you know. So when I was in R&O, I was collecting, because people was leaving them on the table. Yeah. You know, so I collected all of them. I collected all of them, and I took my little string out my, my boxer shorts, and and I start rapping all that shit up, because I'm in a new world. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I ain't been out in Utah long enough to understand the politics. You know what I mean? So I had to prepare myself. So I did all that. I had that all ready, and then so when I see all this going on, Mason, man, I'm like, fuck, man. So I'm getting closer now, man, and now everybody's focus turned on me, and it just got quiet. Because I was a big youngster, I worked out and all that, you know what I mean? But I gave them that look too, like, you know what I mean? Yeah, I ain't the one, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm 15 though, but they don't know I'm 15.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I play the role, I try to find a way to suck in some more air where I look bigger, you know what I'm saying? And but yeah, it just got quiet. And they all just stared at me. I just stared at them, and man, and it just so happened where they was lined up at, that's the yard I go into. You know what I mean? So they all watched me. I got all my shit, my blankets, and my blues and shit, and they take me to the unit. But it's movement now. You know what I mean? And I go to my cell, everybody see me go up in there. But it's movement. So I'm sitting on my bunk, and I just know how movement works. And I was like, man, either way, I'm gonna have to face them. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know where these fools is from. You know what I mean? So I come out, I hit that next movement, and that's when I run into Solo. Solo and Adolphus and all them. I run into them on the yard, and of course they hit me up, and they was like, "Where you from?" And I was like, "Where you from?" And when I heard one of the folks say he from Palmer Notes, and said we was beefing with them dudes back home, cause I'm on that mindset, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I told them, well, this Long Beach, you know what I mean, the S gang, and and they pulled me to the side and then told me the politics about what's going on there, and you know what I'm saying, and you know what I mean, lucky nothing came of it, man. Nothing came of that, but I was ready. You know what I mean? I was ready for whatever, and then I ran into Solo. But that was my introduction. That was day one. That was day one. But then, my everyday dealings after that, man, it was hard, man, because again, mind you that, like I said, I had no family here, man. You know what I mean? I had no family, so I was on indigent status. You know what I'm saying? I had to, get the little bars of soap and shit, little notepad, envelope, and they give you like 3 stamps, I think, a week or something like that. I can't remember. It's been so long. It is like 91, 92. And shit, I had nowhere to write to, because at that age, man, I wasn't trying. I didn't think about knowing what my address was. You know what I mean? And plus, when I was going through that process, that year-long process of getting certified, my family didn't know where I was. We come from a very poor neighborhood. No telephone, no TV. We had a old Salvation Army stereo in the house, and that's all we had. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, as poor as we were, as I got older, I learned a lot of other things. But at that time, I just didn't understand how my parents didn't know where I was at. You know what I mean? And then I thought maybe like a lawyer or somebody would try to
notify them, find out. I mean, that's the thing. Like, they arrested you, they have your name. Yeah. They had, they got your name, and obviously you're related. You're somebody's kid, and it's crazy that, your first 4 years that your family didn't even know where you were at.
Yeah, they didn't know where I was at, man. And so speaking on that, man, for guys that know, when you get your last, I don't know how it is in other states, but for the most part, here in Utah anyways, when you get mail call, every day, man, it was, I was hurt, but at the same time, it was embarrassing as well, because I would look out hoping to hear my name called for mail, and it just never happened. You know what I mean? Never happened. So at 15 years old, man, I was sitting there, and keep it 100. That shit was hurtful, man. So, I have built up this tough man persona, like, fuck everything, because shit, man, I wanted some kind of lifeline to a sibling or, my parents, and but I didn't have that. So But along with that, when I sit there and watch these guys get their mail, you know, they reading it, and you know, and of course these individuals that they're local, so you know, some of them know each other from the streets. Like, man, check out my cousin's page. So they showing pictures, you know, and shit. Again, you know, me is like, you know, I get a glimpse, you know, because I don't want to ask. You know, I'm embarrassed and ashamed at the same time, not knowing why, because it's just drawing more attention to the guy that don't got no loved one, you know, trying to reach out to him, you know, or whatever. You know, because I was, you know, and then the weekends come, you know. The weekends come, same thing, man. You know, people get called out for visits. You know what I mean? So 15, 16, 17, 18, now 19. But by this time, I'm already, you know,
immersed in the surroundings.
Yeah. So an individual comes in, you know, another polycat, and you know, because now more polys starting to come into the system in the mid '90s. You know, mid '90s they start to come in. At the time, man, it wasn't many polys, man. It was probably a handful, and as a matter of fact, it was only a handful. Mid '90s, like a flock of them start coming in. So you know, we chopping it up. You know, now you know I got care packages. Like people's unfamiliar with at that time, like care packages. They was like, and what I owe you, like, nah, man, you know, I start looking out for any Asian Islander, you know, that come through the door. And they was unfamiliar with that because they had no system or no, you know, just, it wasn't put together, man. There was no organization. And I started changing that, man. You know, by the time these cats came in, all these youngsters came in, man, I already had package for them. Now, even though I'm 19, I was the big dog, though. You know what I mean? I already had 4 years had gone by. And, you know, I start doing it. But anyway, so individual come up in there, we chopping it up, and it was like, man, who's your family? Like, last name. So I tell him, and it was like, hell, we cousins, man. I was like, well, who's your pops? Like, my uncle's so-and-so. I'm looking at him, it's like, man, I'm going to reach out to my pops and tell him to try to find your moms. You know, so, shit, man. It was just crazy, dog, you know what I mean? So, and that's just how it happened, man. And a letter finally slide through, like, I couldn't even tell you if it was like a month later or whatever, man. And shit, that shit broke me down, man. You know, that shit touching me right now, but, you know. But yeah, man, shit. But, you know, I went through that shit, man, you know. And, you know, still never got a visit, but, you know, at that time, I understood the situation, you know what I mean? We just, you know, we didn't have it like that, man, you know? We struggled the whole time, and, but the letter was a blessing in itself, man, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, man, there's a lot more to it, but, you know.
Like, touch on, like, what is it like to be a 15-year-old being certified and sent to a penitentiary? You didn't kill nobody, right? No. So you don't have a body, but yet, you know, because of the way the system was here, and they might think like, you know, Utah is accustomed to certain type of crimes, certain type of acts, and now here comes. I mean, mainly, I think your size played a role in it because when they look at you, you're already big at 15, so they don't see that you're a kid. Like if I go through at 15, I'm gonna look like I'm 10 years old, you know? Right. So the court might look at me and have some sympathy for me. Oh, that's just a little kid. But they're looking at you like, he's a grown ass man, but not understanding you're 15 years old. Yeah. Your mind is of a 15 years old, and then they justify whatever reason they use to justify and send your ass to a men's penitentiary for grown folks, full of violent gang members, full of dudes that's in there for murder and everything in between. Yeah. So what was it like just being a 15-year-old in the penitentiary, but not just that, but not even having your family there, not knowing where you are. Just like share, because you know what we want to emphasize on here on our podcast is the reality of incarceration. Yeah. Not just the glorification of this moment in time, but because all those stuff that people like to share, the fun shit, the cool shit, that's like 1%. Right. The other 99% is in it's a state of misery, it's a state of depression, it's a state of hopelessness. Yeah. You know, like, I don't want to, like, you know, give you PTSDs, you know what I mean? But
shit, got that.
yeah, but really share, like, with, you know, the youngsters out here that think that shit is cool. Like,
yeah,
you know,
no.
what was it at your low moment that, you know, the hardest time when you were at?
Shit. So, you know, going back to what I was saying, you know, I was walking that line and, you know, hearing them dudes call out, like, you know, that's me right there. That's me right there. You know, getting accustomed to my environment in there. You know, like I said, I have to beef up in there as far as, you know, like walking the yard like that. But I already had met them dudes. Old boy from they call him Demon from Linwood, and then of course Solo was in there already. He just got there prior to me getting there. So, you know, they already had a small group of alliance of people from out of state. You know what I mean? And there was another homie right now, man. He a beat dog from Inglewood. He was up in there. So, you know, of course I flocked to that car because, again, I didn't know anything about Utah, man. You know, and you know, I'm always on high alert anyways because I'm from Long Beach, and during that time, people that grew up, you know, in that era, no, we was always outnumbered, no matter where we went. You know, we was always outnumbered in the system because there wasn't many folks from Long Beach like locked up like that. They were, but man, Compton, they was, you know, they were so dominant, you know, dominant in their facilities. And then when you go down to LA and you go down to East Lake, which is Central, I don't even know if it's there anymore. Then you got a bunch of cats from LA. So, you know, so I was always on that mindset that I always had to stay on high alert, regardless, man. You know, because and again, I'm outnumbered again because I'm in someone else's backyard when I come to Utah. So, you know, so with that, man, you know, and people kind of seeing who I was affiliated with, so they knew that, you know, basically that was the car I was with, you know, just basically out of towners, you know what I mean? And so going back to, you know, to answer your question, man, you know, when you get your last meal, man, and them doors closed down, man, you know, some of them young cats that ended up in that unit, man, you know, not so much here, but you guys know the echo sound up in those cold places, man. You know?
Yeah.
And you can drop a cup, man, and that whole thing would rattle
Ding,
that whole
ding,
unit.
ding, 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 ding.
So some of them youngsters that came in with me, though, man, you know, they got butchered that night. You know what I mean? And you know what I'm talking about, man. You know, they got taken advantage of, and those are the sounds that you never forget, man, because you talking about a young man, you know, being abused, and those sounds, man, is forever stay in your head. You know, just hearing a grown man cry and scream for, you know, for someone for help, and it echoes, man. It echoes. That shit echoes, man. And, you know, it was a reality check for me and everybody else that, you know, that comes through the doors, because there was a lot of predators, you know, in that facility, you know, that went, because them dudes were lifers, man. A lot of them dudes was lifers. They was never getting out. And yeah, so that experience, man, it kept me up, man. I didn't want to sleep. You know, I didn't want to sleep because I was like, fuck, you know, this could be me, regardless of how big I am. You know, and I held my age, how young I was, from everybody. Like they didn't know that I was they thinking I'm like a 19, 20-year-old, you know what I mean? So they just think I'm a young adult too. But by that time, like, you know, after a while they found out, but by that time I'm already 2 years in, dog. You know what I mean? I already had stabbed a couple of dudes, you know what I mean? Like, by that time, man, I'm already there, man. I already got
established.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And I'm already pumping more weight, you know what I mean? Getting swole status on, and you know, made alliances, you know what I'm saying? So by that time, I'm already knowing who's who, and, you know, but going back to that, man, and guys that was coming in there, it was I don't even want to say it was a rude awakening, man, because that shit fucked me up, dog. It fucked me up to pretty much witness it by ear.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And yeah, man. And I can't imagine how them guys end up living the rest of their time out, man, you know, because some of them end up getting rolled out because, you know, they dropped the kite that this was what happened, and all of a sudden you see the goons come in and lock everybody down to extract old boy.
Yeah.
You know,
The predator.
The predator and the
Yeah.
and you see the extraction come in, and you know what I mean, and then shit, man, and I just felt bad for everybody that was coming in that was new to that, especially the young cats that had no idea what they was walking into, you know, and so that was like I said, my first day. That was day one. That night that I slept, that shit, they didn't even wait, man. Them doors closed. It was on.
You know, people hear the stories about things that go on in prison, but I don't think it really resonates because it's just a story. You know what I mean? So, you know, you hear a lot of, you know, females out here share their stories about when they got violated and how traumatizing and how worthless it made them feel. And I'm not trying to compare that, you know, one is worse than the other,
Right.
but just imagine you're a grown ass man, because it doesn't just happen to young kids.
Nah, don't.
It happens to grown ass men.
Yeah.
You're confident in your masculinity. You think you're some type of dude, but you get put in a situation where you're getting violated and that manhood is taken from you.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of these dudes, they go in there, they're not going there talking about, yeah, I'm just gonna become a girl, put on some lipstick and makeup and start tying my shirt up, and that's how I'm gonna do my time. But they get turned out. You know, that's the definition of turned out. You thinking you're a straight heterosexual man and you're confident in your masculinity, but here comes a dude that overpowers you and strip you of all that, breaks you down, and now you're walking around like a bitch. You know, like, you know, and when I say bitch, I'm not doing that to be disrespectful to them or anything like that, but they get put in a position where within themselves that this is the only way they can survive prison now.
Right.
Is to be somebody's bitch. You know?
Yeah.
Like the thought process, like I can't imagine it, because, you know, for the grace of God that, you know, I went in there with the mentality that I'm not getting violated.
Right. Yep.
You know what I mean? And the first person to try, I'm gonna spill his gut all over the
Yeah.
fucking floor. But a lot of people they're not prepared for that.
Nah.
Because a lot of people that get caught up in situation, it wasn't the life they were living. They got, you know, desperate times and went and hit a lick.
Right.
Or, you know, or got caught with a sack. They were just smokers or out here dealing drugs, and they
Right.
get caught with the sack. But now they're put in this environment, and yeah, like you said, homie, it's just some sounds you can never erase
Right.
from your mind.
Yeah.
And that's why I want to emphasize through, you know, when I bring you on and people like you to share the story, is just to let the people know the reality of the situation, and that it's an horrendous environment, and that shit don't leave you, no matter how old. Like, how long have you been out now?
I've been out since 05, so I've been out 17 plus years, 18.
Yeah. And
18
you know,
years.
and when you speak, like, we can hear it in your voice that the time that you spent in there witnessing these things, whether it's through what you see or what you heard, that stuff never leaves you.
Never, yeah.
It leaves a mark on you.
It does, man, and you know, going back to that Mesa, man, you know, how you go into details from, you know, this 91, 92,
Yeah.
cuts dropping, echoing through the building, you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's fresh in my mind, the sound, like it's just happened today, you know what I mean? You know, you feel it. So now I'll tell you what it did to me. You know what I mean? Like, you know, obviously, I was on definitely, like I said, on high alert, man, and couldn't sleep because, you know, I was roomed with a dude from Texas. That's one I ended up sticking anyways. You know, because he was a predator. You know, his bitch ass was a predator, and I ended up doing him in. You know, but he didn't try that shit that. You know, that first day, you know, he was trying to, and I ain't stupid, man. You know, I'm from the streets. You know what I mean?
He's trying to butter you up.
Yeah, he trying to
trying
fool me. You know what I'm saying? With the little Snicker bar and shit like that. You know, he got me fucked up. I mean, so, you know, I ended up sticking his ass. You know what I'm saying? Because And I took all this shit after that because when they came and got me, I already had prepared myself that they was gonna come get me. So I threw all my shit in the pillowcase and I took all this shit with me. But of course I didn't get it when they took me to maximum security. But you know what I mean? Because I was already, like I guess I was lucky in the sense that I already had grew up rough, and that's probably what saved me, coming in, so to speak. I think it is what helped because I was already on the streets, you know what I mean, and been in some, some environments where, it's on site type shit, you know what I mean? But, it made me angry, man. It made me angry because I'm like, fuck, man, my parents, man, my family, I ain't got no homies here, like, from any alliance, like real alliance, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was by myself, didn't know, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna say like suicide came through my head at that young age, but it probably did. I just wasn't like, man, I was like, what the fuck? What's gonna happen day 2? What's gonna happen day 3? You know what I mean? So like, every night, man, it just made me more angry. And like you said, man, you start to get conditioned to become a monster. You know what I mean? And I think, like, just trying to think back to that, I just remember that, man, losing sleep for a fucking, I'm not even gonna say 1, 2, 3 days. Like, this went on for like fucking good 6 months, maybe even to 9 months, until I finally accepted, like, dog, this is your world now. You ain't going nowhere. Ain't nobody gonna come. Your parents ain't gonna come over here and extract you from this situation. You stuck, homie. You know what I mean? This is where you gotta be for a minute. You know what I mean? Go ahead and do your time. And shit, it was a hard one to swallow. You know what I'm saying? And shit, like I said, by that time I already, was already in max and shit. And there's some other individuals in there, and then by the time I get back out to population, when my points drop and hit the yard again, you know what I'm saying? 2 years already went by. You know what I mean? This shit started to go fast, man. You know what I mean? Like you said, you mentioned before about when you're in those high security, man. They don't let, like, we got out every 3 days, every 72 hours for 45 minutes. Take our shower and shit, and make the phone call. But I had nobody to call. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I did my little Jane Fonda workout with whatever I could do up in there, man, and jumped in the shower and was back in my cell reading books, you know what I'm saying, and educating myself in that way, you know what I mean? And yeah, man. So, but you know how I feel about war stories. I try not to get into no war stories, man, because I don't want any young viewers to think, like you mentioned before, that we're glorifying that, man. But we've been into some shit, man, and I've been fortunate to come out walking in those situations. So,
and when I share my war story, it's just really is from the point of, like, this is the crazy shit that goes on.
Yeah.
A lot of the times that when you got 2 cars clashing or 2 dudes clashing or whatever, most of the time, 90% of it's on some bullshit. Right. Because the other individual is being disrespectful. Yeah. And you already know, in the environment that we live in, respect is at the top of the list. Yeah. Nothing matters after that. When you're disrespected, you have to show people that you're not going to accept it, because if you don't, the people's going to line up. Right. And they're coming because they say, oh, Dez ain't going to defend himself. Let me see what else he got. Right. And then once they take everything, physically from you, all you got left is your booty, and they're gonna come for that, because if you ain't fighting for the other stuff, then they're gonna think you're not gonna fight for your manhood. Yeah. So really, like, people think, oh, we're just in there just trying to chop each other up and this and that. Man, a lot of it comes from dudes having to do what they have to do to ensure their safety. Yeah, they might catch a case right now, and they might get themselves hurt by getting in this confrontation, but they know I got a lot of time to do. Yeah. And if I don't handle this, then them 2 decades that I still got, to do is gonna be rough. Right. But from the outside, they just see, oh, there goes another violent act. You know, I just came from court today, and
Yeah.
all they saw was you were there.
Yeah.
You know, I went to court today
Yep.
to for my violation back in August to see if they were gonna detain me. And you see, all they read was, "Oh, he's a violent dude. This, he's a violent dude.
Yeah,
That."
exactly.
But not understanding, like, those things that I did were necessary for to secure my survival.
Right.
You know, but they never see it from that perspective. They always see it from the victim's perspective. Oh, he hurt this dude, so you must be a bad guy. Well, what if I was the one that got violated?
Yeah.
What if I was the one that got stabbed
Yeah.
up? Now you want to feel sorry for me? You know what I mean?
Right.
Not understanding that I did these things to defend myself.
Yeah.
I did these things to ensure my safety on this yard.
Yep. And you're absolutely right, man. A lot of these individuals, I'll just call them civilians, that don't understand, man. Is like, you know, and you know the saying goes, man. Shit, I want to go home early, but I want to go home early walking. And you know the terminology is like, man, I'm gonna send you home early, homie.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be in the body bag. You know what I mean? And you already know you hear different terminologies of how we talk in the system, man, and we pick up on it real quick. But the civilians that don't understand, like what you just talked about, you know, I'm gonna look out for me. Like it's my life is more important than my opposition. So we got to do whatever is necessary to make sure that we're still up and walking. So, but you're absolutely right, man, and you do it at any, you know, like whatever it takes, man, and these guys just ain't they're like oh man, what's the word, man? Like they don't have the full understanding why we do what we do.
Yeah.
To be sitting here today, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I ran into this old head. He was in his mid to late 50s. His name is Player from Texas Syndicate. And him and I, we had a conversation one day, and he was like, you know, at the end of the day, homie, my family's not getting that phone call. You know, if it's a choice between your family getting that phone call or my family getting that phone call, I'll make sure it's your family, not mine.
Right.
That somebody come and knock on the door talking about, hey, your son dead over there. You know, and he was adamant about, that's what, you know, because you know he's a gang member.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And not just like a street gang, but they're organized.
Right.
So he's a made man. And he was just, and through our conversation, he was adamant about, listen, man, my daughter's not gonna be crying over me. My wife's not gonna be crying over me. They know I gotta be here, but they know I'm gonna be here alive and well.
Yeah.
And if it comes to it, it's gonna be that other family that's gonna be crying.
Yeah.
And people think, like, when we say stuff like that, oh, we're just being violent or being
Animals,
aggressive, or,
monsters.
but you,
Yeah.
but you think about that. If it's you and a guy in a cell, are you gonna lay down and let him take your life? You know, when you're put in that position and given that option, whether it's that man or you,
No.
I don't think I know anybody. I mean, there's probably some people out there that's gonna say, oh, I'm just gonna let him kill me because I'm not gonna be violent.
Yeah.
Hey, if that's you, man, you're a better person than me.
Yeah.
But for me, listen, I'm coming home. You know what I mean?
That's facts, Mason, man. And the ones that don't make it is because their mindset wasn't like thinking like that. You know what I mean? They got caught slipping, thinking it's I have an opportunity, and maybe so, depending on the situation, I have an opportunity to get you back. But for the most part, man, that's one chance to make it.
Yeah, and
You
then,
know what I'm saying?
and then at the end, like, how good does it do you to come home when your mind's fucked up?
Yeah.
When you allow yourself to get violated because you feel this is the only way I can survive in here. Or, you know, you let somebody butcher you to where you're physically, you know, handicapped because you didn't want to fight back.
Right.
You know, they gave me 26 years. And when I went in there, that was a life sentence to me. And yeah, I had hopes of coming home one day, but in my mind, I never thought I was gonna make it, and it didn't matter to me because for me, it was surviving the day.
Mm-hmm.
Doing whatever I need to do to survive the day. And a lot of people don't, I don't want to say a lot of people, but let's just say there's some people that come there with like, oh, I only got a few years, so I'm gonna stay out of trouble,
Right.
and I'm just gonna try to slip through the cracks. There ain't no cracks in the high security level to slip through.
Right.
Because when somebody sees that you're always ducking, a confrontation because
you stand up.
because you're concerned about going home,
Yeah.
now you become a mark.
Right.
They have the terminology of mark. It's like back in the days when they had the festivals, like when they have these people that do their games and scams, and where they see and they go and mark your shirt,
Right.
letting the other people know, yeah, you can scam him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's where the terminology comes from. So when they see that you're always trying to duck because you don't want to get a write up, or you don't want to go to the shoe, you don't want to get in trouble, that's when the people come.
Right.
But when that, I try to tell the youngsters when they start coming in, that first time that dude disrespect you, you make sure his jaw is sideways.
Yeah.
And you do that not because you're tough, or you do that not because you're trying to be tough, or you're doing that to emphasize, hey man, leave me the fuck alone.
Yeah.
And in the penitentiary, the only language that's universal is violence.
Right.
That language leaves no misunderstanding. I don't care what race, what language you speak. Violent there's no misunderstanding, and everybody can comprehend that.
Yeah.
Because most people in there, they're just looking for an easy mark. They're not looking for that fight.
Right.
And if they know you're willing to fight, it doesn't matter if you win or you lose, as long as they know that you're willing to fight. That keeps a lot of people off of you.
Yeah. That's true. Now, so I just wanted to add to what you was talking about, Mesa, man, because and I want these young viewers to understand and don't get the misconception when you go up in there. You wanna do what you gotta do, man. But I've also seen where these young cats come up in there, man, and I've seen this where they come in there and they try to make their presence felt, like don't fuck with me type shit, and shit backfired on them.
Yeah, because people see through that. That's
Yeah.
just a scared guy trying to, like the fishes that blow themselves up to be intimidating.
Yeah, the blowfish.
Like there's veterans in there. They've seen it all already.
And it backfires in that sense. And the other one where the youngster was trying to fight back, and then let's say they take that youngster, and I've seen this happen with this, I wouldn't even remember his name, but he come back to the yard maybe a year later, and now he's a target. Whatever happened in that situation, man, they gunned for this cat every time, and was like, they wouldn't let him walk the yard, you know what I mean? And then now he became a target, and eventually it caught up to him, man, where the kid ended up hanging himself, because wherever he went, he could not touch the yard, man. And it got to the point where, and I couldn't tell you all the other details when he was getting shipped around, what happened, but within the next year or two, the kid ended up just hanging himself, man. And that's the other reality of it. You young folks out there thinking, you're gonna go in there and do this and do that, man. It's the roll of the dice, homie. You know what I mean? You either it is what it is, man. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to tap in.
Yeah. Like at the end of the day, man, be respectful, be you, but when a situation arises, be willing to handle it. Don't go looking for it.
Right.
Don't go walk around like you're tough so somebody feel like they gotta try you to see if you really built like that.
Right.
Just be you. And then if you're genuine, if you're who you are, you're a respectful person, and you do things the right way, when somebody see someone pushing up on you, knowing that you're a good kid, they're gonna come to your assistant and be like, hey man, leave that kid alone, man, he ain't bothering nobody.
Right.
But if you're loud and running your mouth and thinking you're tough, that what's the saying go? You're gonna get what you're looking for.
Right.
All the time. But I emphasize is just, stand on your tens, man. And whatever comes of that. Like winning and losing should never be your motive. Oh, I'm gonna get into this competition because I can win here. oh, I'm gonna duck this one because I'm gonna lose. No, if you stand up for your principle, homie, it doesn't matter if you want to lose. And at the end of the day, people's gonna respect you for it, and it's gonna make your time easier.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you ain't in that street, like if you're watching this, you ain't in jail. So if you ain't there, no, that story, certified at 15. You already know, most of my story. So
Yeah.
if you ain't putting yourself in that situation right now, you ain't in prison right now, avoid that shit. And what I mean by avoid that shit is don't go participate in something and then go tell so you get yourself out of it. Avoid that shit by doing something else, being productive and not putting yourself in that situation where you might end up telling or you're gonna go to prison.
Right. That's facts.
But like you guys know, you guys seen Dez on my videos before. Like for me, day one, him and the rest of the fellas, they're not just, for me, it's not just they out there just talking to kids or out there feeding the homeless, but they keep in touch with each other every day. We tap in every day.
Right.
And so it's like a support group. For those of you guys that are that are just coming home, man, having a strong foundation, having people that care about you, is important to your mindset, to your well-being, and to your success. Because if you're surrounded by dudes that are just still doing the same shit, you're never gonna get nowhere. Like some people, they feel like they gotta move out of their surroundings, go to another state or another city. If that's what you need to do, that's what you do. But for me, this is the only home I really know. I moved around since I was a kid, you know what I mean? And all my family was here because when I first came home, my wife's like, why don't we just stay in Colorado or maybe we should move somewhere else? And I'm like, nah, this is where I'm at. And I've never been the one to, run away from something. If somebody don't like what I'm doing, they need to go.
Yeah. No, that's you absolutely right, man. When I come home in the 05, I lost my mom the year before when I was in the feds. I lost her. Man, if I would have took the halfway house, man, I probably would have been down before that happened. And I turned it down. Because, man, I just seen too many people come and go, and I didn't want to do the fucking halfway. I had nothing to go to anyways, man, you know what I'm saying? So, I really didn't give a fuck about no halfway house, man. And it's like, man, just let me do my time. And, I seen you seen too many people come in and go like 2 or 3 times, like, God damn, give me one. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, I ended up losing my mom in 04. 05, I get out, man, and I didn't really want to fuck with nobody, man, because I've been through so much, man, and like everybody else has done time, they experienced their own ordeals while they up in there, and I just didn't want to fuck with nobody, man, and so I kept to myself, man, when I got out. But this time though, like I said, I had turned down the halfway house, and ended up losing my mom. But in 05, when I had the opportunity to, and I couldn't even tell you how the second time came around, but the opportunity came again for me to accept the halfway house, and I accepted it. Now I know why. Excuse me, I take that back. And the reason why I took the halfway house the second time, because it was my pops. When I lost my mom in 04, in December of 04, I remember talking to my pops, because I remember the CO came and got me, and took me to the counselor's office, and they had the phone, and I already knew something happened. I didn't know to what extent. I just knew something big happened, and of course my brother told me, that my mom passed away, and what I mean. So I was able to talk to my pops real briefly. And he just told me that he was all like, "Hey, when you get out, just promise me that you're gonna do right." You know what I mean? And I'm a man of my word. You know what I mean? It was hard to like take it in, because obviously I couldn't do shit for them out there, you know. Again, man, a very poor family, you know what I mean, trying to figure out how we gonna bury my mom and shit like that, you know. That my siblings have to deal with that shit, you know. This is the day after Christmas. My mom passed away on December 26th, and you know, money spent for whatever she bought for the grandkids and shit like that. So, you know, it was a hard time, you know, my siblings had to go through, man, because, you know, like I said, we don't come from money, and so they have to deal with that. But anyways, I talked to my pops, and you know, it's like, you know, gonna do right when you get out, you know what I mean? So now I made him that promise, and I kept that promise. And that was in 04. You know, I made that promise to him that, you know, when I get out, I'm gonna figure myself out, you know what I mean? And of course, the homies up in the feds that was with me, you know what I mean? I love each and every one of them, man, because they knew me as the, not just by what I did in prison and, you know, that, but really as a real, as a person.
As a man.
So they, you know what I mean? You know, the homie, the Crip car, you know what I mean? Shit, even the Sudanese homies, the beat them and shit, I had the respect, you know what I mean? So, you know, shit, they all, you know what I mean? They all came and paid their respect to me, you know what I mean? So to say, you know what I mean? Penitentiary style, you know what I'm saying? you know, and I always appreciated that, man. You know, they did this, one of the homies did a big drawing, and everybody from all these different factions of cars came and signed it, you know what I mean? Shit, I ain't never seen no shit like that, you know what I mean? But going back and thinking about it, man, everybody's like, man, it's the way you carry yourself on the yard. You know what I mean? Everybody had that respect for you, you know what I mean? You've always been a solid dude and straight up dude and handled your business and never did anybody wrong, you know what I mean? So, you know, like I said, they did that for me, man, and you know, I got out, and I just, like I said, I just knew I had to do something different. So Solo, the homie from Compton, man, you know, he heard I was in the halfway house, and he pulled up over there, and we chopped it up. He's like, man, I can get you a job, man, and you know, and I was like, man, I'm straight, man, you know, because I'm still trying to figure myself out. He's like, man, well, if you need a job, man, let me know. You know, and I ended up plugging with Solo. So the job he got me, man, it took me out of town, but in state. And my parole officer, you know, she was cool, man. She was married to a Tongan cat, so she was kind of familiar with like the Polynesian culture and stuff like that. So she allowed me to go not out of state, but out of town to work. And you know, that's what got me got my mind right, because I went out of town and, like, you know, the homies was tapping in, but I was always gone, living in hotels, man, and shit, by the time, man, 2 years went by, man, I got my feet under me, man, and I was able to, you know, start building my credit up, and, you know, I went through that whole process of trying to rebuild my life, man, and you know, within 5 years, you know, like everybody knows, man, it's hard to find apartments when you're a felon and shit like that, man, you know, and I had to have this girl, you know, my wife now, you know, she had to co-sign for me to get this place, you know, under her name, just so I can have a place in, you know, at the time we wasn't together, you know what I'm saying, you know, and she did that for me, man, so I'm forever grateful for that, man, and, you know, if you don't mind, I want to share the other half of my life, man, you know, since I've been out, you know, regardless of what I went through, man, you know, all that shit. You know, like a lot of people, when they get handed a certain amount of time, especially, you know, being that young, you know, you can't comprehend, like, fucking doing all that, them years and shit, like, my life is over. But it was really nothing, you know what I mean? Now I think, you know, looking back, it was really nothing. As far as, you know, and I mean that in a respectful way, it was really nothing compared to time to the homies that's still in there, you know, doing life. And,
yeah, listen,
you know what I mean?
I had 26 years,
yeah,
man. I never sat around and talked about coming home around the homies that had elbows.
Right.
Because they don't have nothing to look forward to.
Yeah.
And they're resigned to their fate, that they know they're gonna die in this miserable place. And for us that had a date, whether it's 10, 20, 30, we always was conscious of not sitting around there and dreaming about the streets around there.
Yeah.
You know.
And I'm gonna say this respectfully, and because I don't want anybody to, feel like I'm trying to feel like I'm bigger than the next man. But since I was paroled, man, I was able to get a job. Obviously, I was bottom tier. Had to make $9 an hour, and work my way up, man. And like within 2 years, I was able to start applying for like credit on my own instead of having someone co-sign for me, So, I went from a labor, and then ended up with this position that they call a fuser because I do gas pipeline, and then end up becoming a foreman and then becoming a trainer. So as time going on, man, I'm elevating myself, And then my wife now in 2010, 5 years later, we get married. We get married and we bought our first house. This 2010. We bought our first house, and Mason, I never thought that happened.
Yeah.
So I was able to do that, man. I was able to do that. I was the first homie out of my circle to do that. And again, not saying that to say I'm better than them.
No, you come from a different mentality because you were gone away for so long.
Right.
You feel like I gotta catch up. And one, you're just like, man, I'm not going back and I'm gonna apply myself because a lot of people out here, they get complacent. I have, my life is going good. I have enough to take care of whatever. And there's nothing wrong with that. But for us, for me, personally, I feel like I'm crunching I'm on a time crunch.
Right.
Like I don't have the 20 years to collect a 401k, to save into my Social Security. So, and I know we're all gonna get old. If God willing, we're all gonna get old. And I'm not trying to grind away till I'm 69. Homie. I don't even know how to do that. So so that drive is there. That it is really not to make up the time as just like, I've been gone for 20. It's to make up the time like, man, I know I could do something with my life.
That's facts.
And I wasted, so let me do it now.
Yeah.
Now that I have an opportunity. And really, for me, I'm not really living just for myself. I love to be able to be financially secure and all that, but I had a lot of conversations before I came home with the homies, man.
Yeah.
And we see, like you say, we see so many dudes that went home and came back, and all these dudes that's got 40 years and 50 years in life sentence, like, damn, man, give me a chance. I'm gonna do something with myself, So
that's facts, man.
And I would afford the opportunity. Like I still get phone calls from the homies that still doing time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they love like what we're doing out here. It's just like, and I wanted to keep my word to them, like, nah, homie, I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
And I almost fucked up. I went to court today and they're gonna let me stay out here and continue to prove myself.
Yeah.
But that's why I want an opportunity, and I understood. And I have no excuses, but for me being down all that year and then just being thrown into the street because I didn't get an opportunity to accept a halfway house.
Right.
And I always pride myself of having like a strong mind to be able to cope with the situation. But at the end of the day, man, like there's nobody that can spend that much time and come home unscathed.
Yeah.
There's scars that are not visible, and we don't know how to deal with that stuff.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right, man. And like I mentioned, in 2010, when me and my wife, we got married that same year too. That when we bought our house, and again, man, it was so unreal to me. Like it was like surreal. Like shit, I never thought this would happen. But I end up, and me the way I am, man. I start, doing up the yard and shit like that, not knowing that the plan later on when the opportunity arose to sell, and I don't even know how that came about. Like 2 years down the road, now we down to 2012, 2013. We ended up selling the house for way more than when we bought it. So we had that money. It was a big chunk, real big chunk, and at this time I'm already well established and made my mark with this company, man, and just really turned my life around, man. And started doing a little bit of community service, not as much as I'm doing right now, but back then I wanted to dabble in a little bit of this and that and kind of help, but I was still traveling, So 2014, we ended up buying our second house, the one we're in now, We bought this house and, same thing. I built this house up and, took some of that money that we sold from the first house and started my own business. I started my own business and same thing, man, out of the homies, out of the circle that I knew, that I associated with, same like you're saying, man, I just felt like I had so much to make up for from those years that I lost, man, and I was surpassing homies that's never been locked up. I always talked about owning a home and, and shit like that, but this is my drive. This is my story, you know what I mean? So I just kept pushing, and I got my business, man, and, ended up selling it later and again made a chunk on that, you know what I mean? And, and then the day one was born, you know what I mean? Because we was doing so many community service with the homies as far as helping families out, like paying the kids football fees, basketball fees, to the point where other members of the community was hearing what we was doing for certain families that they wanted to reach out to us, like, man, hey, I got a son that I want him to play ball, but I don't want him to be the streets, and I got a soft heart when it comes to kids because of my situation, of coming through the system and not having nobody to write or to call at the, so you know what I mean, and then of course I have a soft heart, so we would start sponsoring a lot of kids to where we just knew it was going to grow, man. Because we wanted to do more and more, and maybe we talked about how the day one was formed some other time, because that's a story in itself. But
yeah,
that's where I'm at today, homie.
Yeah, we can get together with all the homies and you guys can share that story with us.
Thanks.
But like, he's a prime, Dez right here, he's a prime example that, man, if you apply yourself, it don't matter where you started, it don't matter you grew up poor, don't matter the trauma that you've been through, and don't matter that you've been incarcerated for decades. Like, as long as there's breath in our lungs, we get to wake up every morning.
Yeah.
We have the choice of what we're gonna do that day. And for me, seeing you and other homies around that's built something with their lives since they've been home from prison, that helps me believe that I can do it too.
Right.
And for real, homie, I see that as my inspiration, as my motivation. And man, I really appreciate you coming through and sharing your story, man.
Man, and I'm gonna say this, man. I'm not afraid to tell my man, I got love for you, Mason. I love you, brother.
I love you too, bro.
Appreciate you doing what you're doing, and people don't realize, for me, I seen it, man. I was like, man, for people that wants to be inspired by somebody, all they need to do is look at Mason, man, and see what he's accomplished. You know what I mean? And the biggest thing that I failed to tap on, and you kind of mentioned it earlier, for people like us, and you know what I'm talking about, people like us, in order for us to make it, man, you have to have the right support group, man. You have to. You don't have the right support group, whether it's your girl or like-minded individuals, the chances are slim of making it out here, man. So always remember that, man. When you're ready to come back to this world, man, reach out to the ones that really want you to make it, not just to hang out.
It's not to say you can't do it by yourself, but
Right.
you don't have to.
Right.
Like, don't let that pride and that ego get in the way of your success, man. When you down and out, reach out to the people that care about you. And in my experience, just being home, there's a lot of homies around that cares about you, even though they might not be living that life the way they supposed to. But they see that you're trying, they see that you try to do it, man. They're gonna lend that, they're gonna lend a hand, man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good men and women out here. Tap into that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. That's the BMA podcast. Thank you again, Dez, for coming through.
Yeah, appreciate you.
See you guys next time.